Welcome back to the Ref Show. Roger Dilkes and Carlton Palmer on duty this week with me. When you're refereeing a South Coast derby, which is a big game, I suppose the referee's swimming for the shore towards the end, if I can use that metaphor. He doesn't quite get there, does John Moss in Southampton, Bournemouth, get stranded and then get rescued because the lifeboat comes out because the penalty gets missed.
That's right.
Anyway, I don't know if that's too pictorial, but there you go.
Yeah. But it's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
In terms of John Moss has awarded the penalty to Bournemouth, and Harry Arter comes up and his foot comes from underneath him, strikes the ball twice, and it finishes up in the stand.
It would have been disallowed even if it had gone in because of the two touches on the ball. Right. But the penalty decision it looked to me as a shocker. I couldn't see anything there. Could you?
I couldn't see anything. Simple as that.
Wasn't a penalty.
No.
I don't see... Listen, part of the game and the talking points in the pubs are mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, and there will always be mistakes. We'll never eradicate them, right? You are the Ref Show, we obviously want to see better refereeing. But for the Joe public, that's part of the game, isn't it? Penalty. We all think it wasn't a penalty, but he's missed it.
But in future, you're going to strip away those talking points. I don't know whether you're a fan of video refereeing or not, Carlton, but in future, this is a classic mistake that can be corrected. What do you think?
Well, it's a difficult one for me, Alan, now, because it's the money that's involved in the game now. Can one decision be that catastrophic for a team? When you look at 40-odd league games or whatever, generally, whoever wins the league deserves to win the league. Whoever gets relegated deserves to get relegated. I think the odd decision can be costly in a particular game, but generally, by rule of thumb, over the course of the season, it generally works out.
All right, fair point. Video assistant referee, likely to be in operation in the Premier League, say 2 seasons, not next season, the following season.
Yeah,
experiments in the FA Cup next season, already being experimented on internationally, France, Spain. We saw...
Yeah, but Alan, when an incident happens, sometimes, even now, we rerun it, haven't we? We've looked at incidents, how many times we've come in here and we've looked at it, rerun it, and still not sure.
Yes, some referees do disagree on that, but on this one, I don't think there'll be any disagreement, and I think it could be picked up quite quickly. Do you not, Roger?
Yeah, I think it's coming.
Yeah,
and I think it's how it's implemented is the talking point, because there are 2 schools of thought here. There is the situation that you had in the international the other evening, where there were no screens on view, and then you've got what seems to be the preferred view of the senior administrators.
Mike Riley out of PGMOL and David Elleray, Technical Director of International Football Association Board, both would prefer, it would appear, match referees to be called to view it.
Yes.
Which takes a bit more time and also puts more pressure on.
It takes a bit more time, and if you visualise what could happen with a screen on the side of the pitch, managers, coaches, players crowding round and so forth, possible other acts of indiscipline when they're looking at the screen, etc., etc.
And it would appear not to be necessary, because in France, Spain, it all happens seamlessly and quickly, without the need for that pressurised spectacle of the referee.
I don't think it's... You've got to remember, in rugby, it's completely different. It's a stop-start game. So you can get away with it in rugby. I think in football, the game's got to flow. Big instances, if they're going to do it video, somebody should be up there, 4th official, 5th official, make the decision in the referee's ear, and let's get on. If there's too much of a time delay, it's going to create problems.
I agree with you. Absolutely.
Point taken. And in a special extra Ref Show, which you can get if you subscribe to the new You Are the Ref Academy, which is being launched this week, that particular site, Roger and I will discuss in more detail that incident, how it could have been avoided from the referee's point of view, but also the thorny issue, how you restart the game if you stop it for the video referee. Let's move on with Craig Pawson and Chelsea Crystal Palace, London derby. An incredible result as well, with Palace winning at Chelsea. Did you see that one coming, Carl?
Yeah, no, listen, when Sam Allardyce, I'm a big fan of Sam Allardyce, and when Sam Allardyce took over, I put a bet on straight away for Crystal Palace to stay up. listen, people don't, unless you know somebody personally, you don't understand. Sam Allardyce was doing all this, all to do with fitness, diet, nutrition, all of that when he was at Bolton.
Yeah.
That's why he had the players like Campo and Speedo and people like that, Okocha, people playing in their late 30s, still performing to that level. He's a student of the game. He knows the game. He understands the game, and he understands how to win football matches. And I'm really sorry that in this country we Sam did a stupid thing, but I think it could have been dealt with better by the FA, and he should have still been in charge of the national team, in my personal opinion. But also, I think Sam should have a big job in the country, but he don't, because you get stereotyped.
Yeah.
You get, and people see you as a certain thing. But if you look at the job he does, it'd be interesting to see if Pep or Josie could do the same thing at a Crystal Palace, at a Sunderland. Put it into context, David Moyes at Sunderland now, and Sam when he was there last season.
Great point, absolutely great point.
Absolutely.
And we're not going to disagree with that, are we?
Yeah, no.
Well done to Sam. I mean, Chelsea had 75% possession, which means nothing if you can't put the ball in the net. 11 saves from Wayne Hennessy. But Chelsea would argue they should have had a penalty for a Townsend handball late on. What did you think?
Absolutely, very, very clear. I think Craig's problem is he was moving away from the vicinity, following the ball, when he should start asking himself the questions, what if? What if it breaks down? What if the attacking team regain the ball quickly and so forth? So rather than getting on your bike and trying to get up the field of play, you should be there or thereabouts. And with him moving off that ideal viewing position, which he would have had if he'd have stayed where he was, he missed it. Okay. But it was a penalty, no 2 days about it.
Yeah, learning opportunity for a promising young referee there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mike Dean, no comments at all other than a good game, I think. Man United 0, West Brom 0, which wasn't a good game.
No, another
draw. Another draw.
Another awful game.
Yeah, and again, Jose Mourinho overreacting to a reporter's question.
But I've got to be honest with you. Some of the questions reporters ask after the game, I mean, he's not going to be happy, is he? It's a draw, and yes, he does overreact, but that's part of football, and that's why we love him. Too many people. I like Josie. I think he's good for the game, and people can say what they like. He's a character, and that's the game's missing characters. He's upset. He's passionate about it, and he's taking it out a little bit of it on the reporter, but.
Made entertaining viewing anyway.
Absolutely.
More entertaining viewing than the game, you could say.
Absolutely.
On that.
Yeah.
Hull, great win coming from behind against West Ham, 2-1. Mike Jones was in charge there, again largely without drama.
Yeah, there was the one issue where Snodgrass looked offside. He didn't score, fortunately. But apart from that, that was the only thing in the game.
Bit of a nitpick there.
And it is really, but at the time it was nil apiece.
Yeah,
and goals change games. So these lads have got to be on their front foot.
Leicester 2, Stoke 0. That was Lee Mason, and good to report, I think.
And I think one of the things in this particular game was the Shawcross challenge very early in the game, and he took Gray out, and. Okay, it wasn't a Liverpool-Derby match, but it was the same sort of decision-making process. Yeah. And Lee Mason cautioned him quite correctly.
Well, upholding Lee Mason's refereeing.
Going back to Carlton's point earlier in the programme, if there's a nailed-on caution, then caution.
Give it. Championship. Barnsley 1, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Potential for fireworks in that one. Kevin Friend came through it with no headlines. It was out of favour since a poor game, a high-profile game recently. So let's hope he gets back to that. That was a step along the way, Roger.
Yeah, I watched him last weekend, Bury Fleetwood.
Yeah.
And he needs to get his confidence back. So the game at weekend won't have done him any harm at all.
And finally, Leeds 1-0 defeat at Reading. Notable for a couple of off-the-ball incidents here. Looking at it, it looked quite an ugly stamp on the Reading substitute Reece Oxford by the Leeds skipper Liam Cooper. Do you disagree? What's your view of that, Roger?
No,
and it was undetected.
No, I think that the Football Association will be having another look at that one. and I think Leeds will have a contact from the FA probably as we're on.
You may know more
programme.
about this than we do as we're discussing it
Yes.
ahead of a possible FA investigation
Yes,
on that. Earlier,
absolutely.
to balance things, Chris Wood went down complaining of an elbow from Tyler Blackett. I've not seen footage of that, so that's
Yeah,
little
there
bit more
was two of them
difficult.
challenging for the ball, both big lads, both elevating themselves. Some will argue using their arms to get that aerial level, and others will say it was a deliberate act.
So it's the other one that's a serious one.
So
Okay, thanks very much, guys. Thank you, Carlton.
Great
Pleasure
to
to
see
see
you.
you. We'll see you again in a few weeks' time, no doubt.
Yes.
And Roger, and don't forget the You Are the Ref Academy site launches this week. If you're a budding referee, interested in refereeing at all, that's a must for you. There's lots of technical advice and information in that. Meantime, thanks for watching The Ref Show. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Bye.